Zillow, home prices to fall in these 123 housing markets, while 780 markets will go higher in 2023. This is a very interesting article, and here's just some predictions of what Zillow thinks is going to happen. Now here, let's jump in. This summer, the U.S. housing market entered into a sharp slowdown that only intensified last month. On year-over-year basis, new home sales and existing home sales are now down 17.4% and 20.2% respectively, while single-family housing starts and mortgage purchase applications were in July were 18.5 and 18.4% below levels hit a year ago. Simply put, 1/5 of the housing activity just got shaved off. Whoa, 1/5 of the housing activity just got shaved off practically like in a month, guys, like 2 months as the rates started going up. Pretty insane here. Let's keep reading. The sharp contraction in the U.S. housing market, something both the National Association of Realtors and the National Association of Home Builders are calling a housing recession. Okay, right here. Economists rethink their 2023 housing forecast. On Thursday, Zillow became the first real estate firm to use the sour July housing data to readjust its outlook. So Zillow had like a really great outlook, and then July came out and they're like, maybe we should kind of rethink this a little bit because we're like really bullish on the housing market, and it's definitely not showing that right now. So basically, let's read. Over the next 12 months, Zillow now predicts that the U.S. housing prices will climb just 2.4%. That's down from the 7.8% it forecasted just a month earlier. So again, this goes to show that, remember, in 1 month they had a 7.8 forecast, then the next month they have a 2.4% forecast. Basically what this is telling you is that they have no idea what's going on. How do you go from 7.8 to 2.4 in a month, right? The real problem right now is that we're basically reading this article based on information that's coming out right now. And what often happens is that people want to cherry pick the data, and they want to basically say, well, it's looking like that right now. A lot of people keep saying like, we're not in a recession because we got a lot of high employment. Yes, you're right. But what can happen for that employment to get slashed in half, right? You know what? We could have terrible GDP growth due to inflation, and then we have a terrible holiday season, and come January and February, we could be in a totally different scenario, and this article will be painting a whole different type of picture. So again, you got to take these forecasts kind of loosely. I mean, you want to look at the stuff that's happening right now because obviously that gives you the best data because it's currently happening. But you also have to think like bigger. Like you gotta like zoom out and not get so micro. You want to get more macro, and you gotta think, okay, if everything is more expensive, if rent is more expensive, if all this stuff is more expensive, right? Where's the money going? Well, the money is basically evaporating, right? And some people are making more money, right? That is true. There are higher wages, but because everything became so expensive, it almost like it doesn't matter, right? Because milk went up and everything went up and houses went up. So what can happen is we need sort of a reset, or if we're not going to have a reset, we're just going to have to live in inflation for the next 10 to 15 years. And that's going to be pretty awful. Now, in scenarios where we are going to have high inflation, I do predict the housing market to stay kind of hot. Why? Because again, nobody wants to sell a house when we have inflation. Investing in property is a great hedge against inflation because no matter what happens, the land is going to stay there, right? Money can go up and down. The price of money can go up and down, whatever. That house is still going to be standing there. And if you look at countries that they've had, hyperinflation, right? Like we don't even have hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is like nuts, where like literally a piece of chewing gum costs you $100, right? That's hyperinflation. And like the next month, it's $1,000, right? Where the government just has to print nonstop to keep up the demand with how much prices are going up. And then basically everything becomes worthless. Anyways, guess what doesn't become worthless? Those houses in countries that they've had hyperinflations, those houses remain, right? They're steady. And they are just a great hedge against inflation. I'm going to say this too. This one little thing is that if inflation keeps going up and everyone who bought a house basically, if the price of money becomes less valuable and you borrowed money and you have a fixed mortgage, and you borrowed money based on the price of money at that time, and if money becomes less valuable, guess what's going to happen to your mortgage? It's going to basically become cheaper, right? If we go into a hyperinflation situation, you're going to see situations where a lot of people are going to be able to pay off their houses a lot faster. Now that I can't, that's just kind of like my theory, all right? That's really, really a theory because, I don't think in other countries where we've seen hyperinflation, they've had anything near an economy like the United States. Remember, we're a debt-based economy. That means we live off credit cards and we live off of debt, right? And that is basically that's how our economy grows in this country. Very few people have their houses paid off, and very few people have no credit card debt. So just think about that. We are a debt-based economy, and in order to keep it going, you got to create more debt. So, guys, if the prices keep going up and with inflation, we're in uncharted territories, is what I have to say. Now, going back to this article, I think this is a really interesting article. It just kind of goes over the numbers. It tells us how the supply is kind of getting better over the last few years. Now, when it comes to supply, here's another big problem that we're having is that, as many of you guys know from watching my videos, these construction companies just put the brakes. They put the brakes on building houses. Oh man, we have a housing supply shortage, and we're not building any houses. Why? A lot of people might think like, what the hell is going on? It's basic economics, guys. Right now, the price of land is way too high. If we jump over to the Redfin weekly market housing data, Redfin weekly housing market data, I think I got it right, you could see the prices are still really high. So, this kind of really does scare contractors because and building companies, because they got to pay a lot for the land right now. It's worth a lot. Borrowing money is worth more, right? You have less buyers. And we have inflation, which is causing everything to be more expensive, from materials to labor. Everything is more expensive right now, right? So now these guys are going to be on the hook for building, 100 houses, which is great, but they have to sell it for top dollar. And if the market is kind of crashing, they're not going to take that risk, right? So they basically said, hey, we're going to stand on the sidelines. We're going to wait because it's not worth going out of business for it. So I don't know. What's, the issue is the supply. Something that we saw in 2008 that we're not seeing now is basically in 2008, people got these ARM loans and anybody could get financing, and then anybody went out there, everybody was going out there and buying houses, and it just made the prices skyrocket. We are in a whole different scenario. We basically gassed the economy by printing so much money and gave so many people money. We shut down the economy. Now we have inflation. I mean, I would say that the problems that we have today are far worse than 2008, but I don't necessarily know how that's going to totally affect the housing market. Why? For the reason of supply is a big issue right now, and inflation is a big issue right now. So, if the feds do the right thing and they kill the inflation, they bring it down to that 2% level, right? By raising the rates. Okay, what that would do, yes, in that scenario, it will crash the housing market. Absolutely. It will bring the housing market down to 2016 levels, okay? Below 2019 levels. That's what I believe. And that's probably the healthiest thing for the economy. Unfortunately, and I hate to say that, but that's probably the healthiest. But that might not happen, right? When the reason it might not happen is because we don't really know how the feds are going to react, month to month. We don't know. They're dancing around this whole don't crash the economy, but raise the rates, but don't raise them too much. Oh my God, I don't think they really know what's going on. And right now it's not, in many ways, it's just not looking good. If we go over to the new listings real quick, new listings here. Okay, new listings are coming down, right? The supply is getting less. All right, that's a problem. Okay, that is a huge problem. Now, if we go over to active listings, we can see that, we are still way low. Look, 2019, we had more listings in 2019 than we do right now, active listings. So we sort of are in a big problem right now, guys. We're in a big problem, and we're gonna have to just monitor it. We're gonna have to stay up on every type of article that comes out. That's one of the things that I like to do. Is I don't like to just stick to one company to get my news from. I like to go and get an overall, looking at multiple articles and kind of get my own hypothesis happening, right? And then I'd like to bring those to you. So again, like I said, a lot going on right now. Now, I want to go ahead and finish this video. This was a fun video. By the way, for all you guys who have been supporting my channel, liking my videos, leaving comments, thank you guys so much. It really does mean a lot to me. It's amazing. It really feels great. If this is your first time watching my video and you sort of enjoy what I have to say, you find me to be somewhat entertaining, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button and go ahead and like and leave a comment. I just want to say thank you guys so much. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.